is there any utility in sleeping with 50 plus women, right? And mind you, that is a very arbitrary number. Um, Kind of makes you wonder uh, why that number in particular. Why not 25? Why not 10? Why not 100 even, right? Let's get to triple digits. But the interesting thing was I was knee deep in red pill. Uh, well, to quote, Tomasi, he'd probably say parxiology, right? Not ideology. But anyhow, it's a frame of mind, a way of thinking about things that, uh, in the beginning, it kind of made sense to me. I kind of was like, okay, it's like the first time I ever hear about like sort of a pushback with the feminization of the world we're in, right? And the culture and whatnot. And so my mind immediately found some solace in the fact that there was a different way of living. And so I immediately latched onto that. And so the reasons why vary, uh, but that's not the important part. The important part was that I latched onto it, I soaked it up, I kind of ran with it, right? And one of the things that he speaks about is this whole idea of of sleeping with 50 plus women, so you kind of get a gauge of what happens is so that you don't end up with the wrong person, right? Because ultimately, I've seen it with my own eyes. What happens when you make the decision of marrying the wrong person, and it literally is quite literally one of the biggest decisions you can make. So I understand the logic about that part, which is that okay, it helps you sort of be aware of the tactics, the strategies that some women may employ, right, to try to get you to end up with them, and that they may not be the best fit. So I understood it from that perspective, and it kind of made sense. However, my gripe with it was that 50 sounds like a lot. So anyhow, let me backtrack a bit. So I ate it up, I soaked it up. I said, hey, count me in, buddy. I'm on a mission. I immediately was like, this is kind of cool, like to try to get to 50 plus. And I may have exceeded that number. I may not have. That's neither here nor there. But the point is, I definitely went out there with that sort of number in mind, with that frame in mind, and so I did that. And I want to say that probably the biggest issue with going that route is um, you leave a lot of damaged people on the wayside, right? In that pursuit of trying to reach, this set number of 50 plus or whatever. Did it make me necessarily better? Ironically, yes, it could have, right? Because it allowed me to obviously get experience to interact with many different women, with many different personalities, but I didn't need to go that far, right? I didn't have to try to push to that number. Um, it was very unnecessary looking back now, you know, but I think what happens is for a lot of guys, I think, and for me in particular, is that I wanted to test myself. I wanted to see what my value was in the sexual marketplace. I wanted to prove something to myself. And so that's why I embarked on the mission, because let's be honest, there isn't very many rites of passage left for men, right? And so one of them was kind of engaging in sort of this numbers game, right? The thrill of of the pursuit. It was fun. I kind of realized that I was like a conqueror, right? I had the mentality of a conqueror. I wanted to lay siege. I wanted to pillage. I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to test my skills. I wanted to see what I was made of. I wish it would have been in a different arena. I wish it wouldn't have been in chasing women, in trying to get the body count up. In that arena, I don't think I should have went that route. But like I said, I ate it up, I did it, and then I realized it wasn't so grandiose of a challenge. It was actually quite easy, which was the unfortunate part. The ironic part was that it wasn't too difficult. The culture is quite easy for that, right? It lends itself for those types of numbers, especially in the dating market I'm in. I'm in a metropolis. The weather is quite nice year round. There is a lot of thoughty activities to be had. But I made sure, just a caveat, just to sort of, there is some exceptions, right? But I definitely didn't go like the easy route, which was like to, visit nocturnal spaces and find the easy way to get these numbers up. I, I went after the good girls, which I feel sorry to say so, but that's what I did, right? I went after good girls, and so that made the challenge a little bit more difficult. But it was also like the mean part about it in my mind was that I made a lot of women maybe not trust men so much, right? So, you know, in the wake is you leave a lot of destruction, right? And so that's the part that I'm most uneasy about, is that the damage that you know, this impact leaves behind, right? Because then maybe for some of these girls, they may have a hard time trusting when they do meet a good guy, you know, after me. And so I take responsibility for that part. And that's why I think that going after that many women is destructive in general for a lot of girls, right? And for a lot of guys, because for myself as well, I feel like I wired myself for the short term. And yeah, granted, the benefits of experiencing many different women is that you kind of don't fall, you know, prey to these bad girls, because there is a lot of bad ones. Like, I spoke to a friend and she was telling me that her brother, this dude, he's married, and like his wife kicked him out of the house because he was, you know, smoking a little bit of weed. And I just thought, I was like, that's crazy. Like, this is what happens. So the red pill does have some utility, because this is ultimately an example of someone that loses frame, that has no frame, right? That the woman ultimately has become the man of the household, and when that happens, it's game over. So from that perspective, it did teach me a lot about how to hold frame and how to make sure that if a girl doesn't agree with the man making the decisions, I'm out. I'm immediately not going to entertain a woman that's going to push back in that regard, because then I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this stuff, right? I'm not dealing with someone that's not willing to allow me to take lead, because ultimately, like, if not that, then what do you need me for, right? So, like I said, there is some utility from adopting some of these ideas, but the 50 plus one, I'm not subscribing to it at all. Been there, done that. I don't advise it for anybody. If you're thinking that that's a good way to go, you know, Hijab talked about this extensively, kind of chewed it up in a podcast I remember hearing about. So for sure, it is not something that you should pursue. I don't think it's a sustainable route. It's really hard to undo some of the damage that you may, you know, incur along the way. So I do rather encourage you to find quality women, and I think you would learn a lot more about intimacy in that regard, rather than just trying to slay, right, everywhere you go. So anyhow, I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next one.